So, like in one of my episodes, like why I'm a realist, one of the things that I talk about is just the very fact that I don't think, it's not that I think, I know, logic doesn't function. First of all, there are several things that cease to function unless you're a realist. One of them is logic, because logic is based on groups, right? And so even Bertrand Russell, he like in a private letter to Frege, when he's talking about logic, he's like, I think we kind of like presume universals, kind of like the realist, like medievals when we do this, like that's kind of a problem, right? And so like,
because where does identity even come from? Like,
right.
why do you identify things as being one? Like, how do you get there?
That's right. So if I'm going to make a group like all A is B, then I have to actually suggest that there's something meaningful about these groups of like A
That's
and
right.
B common properties. So that's one of the problems. But it also, one of the things I talk about in there is the fact, and this is why I'm not surprised. I'm actually thrilled with what you just said. I'll have to check out the episode. But I don't think scientific induction functions without it either. Because part of the problem is, right, like, if I'm going to make a scientific inference, right, let's just say I'm saying, oh, look, I'm going to advocate for, for evolution because what we notice, here's one of my evidences. There's this thing called a telomere that's, at the terminus of a DNA strand. And we can find certain instances of DNA where two telomere are fused. And that indicates that these were once two different DNA strands that came together. Well, that line of inference actually requires that I have a common nature, telomere. I have a telos, right, a final cause, to be a terminus of a DNA strand, to which I found an exception. If I'm a nominalist and there are no groups, then I just have a bunch of different nubs that I call telomere, like, but they're not really nubs, and they don't have a final cause or anything.
Like nominalism, this is the thing that's funny about nominalism, is that nominalists are only nominalists at the level that they want to be nominalists at. Because what they'll do is they'll posit the illusion of a group and then posit the parts. But those parts are also groups, dude. And you just keep going until you get to what? To like just chaos? Like
that's just it. And truthfully, I don't think you can articulate chaos, because if you're going to start to talk about chaos, you're going to still talk about certain things that move in ways that don't have pattern. You're still going to have to employ these sorts of things. And even if you're going to offer the evolutionary hypothesis, yes, we're going to get rid of innate teleology. Okay, things don't drive for certain purposes, except that one purpose we're going to smuggle in of survival. Right.
That's right. Which is the perpetuation of being. We're just going to smuggle in the perpetuation of being into our system.
That's right. And this is one of the reasons why I think like the sort of materialist, nominalist, reductionistic sort of stuff, what it does is it tries to make you forget what you were talking about by going smaller and smaller and smaller. And now down at this level, I'm still going to employ it.
Yeah, that's right. You have to. There's no way around it.
Yeah, we're going to say it's not real up here.
Yeah,
it is real down here, right?
Yeah, and you can see it like if you watch people who have cynical takes on religion, they always do the same thing. What they do is they try to cut the head off, and they pretend that this stuff is meaningless. So they're like, "Oh, you just have all it is just a cup with wine and bread in it. All it is just a cup with wine and bread." And like, okay, so you think that doesn't? So you don't like the identity that's up here. But you seem to be fine with all the identities that are down here, and like you could keep going. And yeah, I mean, the problem with this is that when you're talking to someone who's a nominalist, it's very difficult. I get very frustrated, and I have to hold it in because you're looking at someone who's got like basically like has blinders on, and you want to rip the blinders off. But when you try to rip them off, they not only do they not want to take them off, but they act with contempt. this superiority thing where it's like, oh, you're so superstitious and ridiculous.
Right.
It's like, it's just so frustrating.
And it happens at every turn, like even in moral arguments, right? Like Nietzsche, if you follow Nietzsche's argument for morality, he starts to go through, or Freud, right? Pick Freud's argument for morality. They're going to offer, because they need to explain where conscience and all of these moral rules came from that we all know. So they posit some sort of story. And it always start with like patricide or something like that. And we'll evolve into like, we killed our father in order to have his wives because he was sexually competitive. And then we start to worry that he's a ghost and all this sort of stuff. And we sort of build the narrative from there, or Nietzsche based on animal pain or whatever. But what happens is at some point, there is always a leap where they feel bad because they did something wrong. And it's like, wait a second. I thought you're trying to explain where that comes from. You haven't. You just suddenly reinsert it into the narrative, hoping I didn't notice that you just reinserted conscience into the narrative, which is the very thing you're trying to explain. And so it always seems to happen that these things they'll try to rip out, right? Forms, commonality, purpose, conscience, right? Morality. And it always, at some point in the narrative, it has to reassert itself.
Yeah, you just have to pay attention to someone who's talking about these things, and then you catch it. You're like, oh yeah, you just like you said, you're a magician, man. You just you tried to pull a trick on me.
That's right.
I saw the thing up your sleeve. I saw it. I'm sorry.
Just keep your eyes on this hand while I smuggle it.
Exactly.